His name is Zay Neely. He has his own sports podcast show called Make Chicago Flag Football Great Again. So let's bring on Zay and talk a little bit with him and just introducing himself. So Zay, again, welcome to First Impression Sports Talk. I am so glad that you're here. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what are some of your goals.
Okay, well, I appreciate the introduction. Thanks for having me. My name is Zay, as you said. A little bit about myself. I do have a sports podcast surrounding the Chicago flag football. It's called Make Chicago Flag Great Again. So obviously, I'm playing flag football in Chicago. I play nationally too with TC United. Play on the national circuit. We play fives nationally. We typically travel throughout the country during the year and play in different tournaments. My background was originally in basketball. I started out, I went to UIC, played basketball there. From there, I went over to Spain for a little bit and played a while, and then played a bit of semi-pro in the States until I came back home and, life. And started playing flag football. Got to start working a regular job. Working in what I went to school for. Fell in love with flag football, and here I am. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's awesome because I actually met Remy through flag football. We played flag football together at Warner University, and flag football the sport is growing tremendously. So I'm really excited to have you on, and just getting people to talk to you and getting people to watch your stuff and different things like that. Because flag football is one of those sports that we kind of need, and I think it gives opportunities for people who even as adults, like we still want to get involved in different sports and do different things like that. So having different leagues and different things and opportunities for people to get involved and play a sport that they love, I think it's amazing. But let's get into the first topic of the day. Let's bring in Jeremiah as well. We're going to talk about the NBA. I know the last time on my show, I was like, man, I'm tired of talking about the NBA. There's always something with the NBA, but we're here now. So I want to start with you, Zay. So recently, we've seen a lot of players in the NBA sign these huge contracts. I mean, the NBA recorded $1.5 billion worth of contracts this month alone. So is the NBA heading in a good direction with all these huge contract signings? I mean, Draymond Green signed $100 million for 4 years. And you have all these different players that have signed over $100 million, $200 million in contracts. And they haven't really, besides Draymond, haven't really accomplished anything. So what do you say to the league, and is the league moving in a good direction?
I would say I think it is. I think it shows the value of these players in their positions for the direction that the NBA is going. The way I look at it, with them getting paid, let's say they need to sign their point guard, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they don't want to pay the point guard, you have to look at the other options they're going to get behind that. What's the next best option? Do we want to let this guy go, or do we want to pay him this money? If that's the most valuable player, then we have to make him happy. Compare his contract to other point guards with his type of productivity and pay him. So I just think with the way the NBA is developing, how they're expanding and they're generating all this money, players become more valuable because more people are starting to watch. They're selling tickets. They're bringing fans in. They're selling merchandise. They have shoes. A lot of people getting shoe deals. So the value of these players, I think, is going up. So you're going to see those contracts keep rising.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, the NBA recorded $1.5 billion worth of contracts in this month alone with all these different signings. So Jeremiah, to you, being that we're in a league where these players can move as they please, this is a new league now compared to early 2000s, 90s, and 80s, where you can move freely and get these huge contracts. So when we look at like someone like Desmond Bane, who plays for the Memphis Grizzlies, and he just signed a $207 million contract, which you would say he's Ja's counterpart, the other, that 1-2 punch. Do you think now, like these role players, you're going to see the huge rise in role players getting these huge contracts? Because we know that the star players, they're already set. But now we're seeing the role players getting these huge contracts. Will this continue to happen?
To be honest, I think that is probably going to continue to happen only because they opened a can of worms to already how this off season goes, playing like you have these role players right now making over 100, maybe even 200 million. Like you see a guy like Baines, this man, coming off of the bench, and he was a great asset for the Memphis Grizzlies, especially these last 2 years, coming in being that score, especially when Ja was out. But
Mm-hmm.
200 million, I mean, you're gonna see a lot of other role players that be like, listen, I can make that type of money too, because they'll look at the next man that's already getting that bunch of millions, just like a Fred Van Vliet or other ones that you have, and they like,
Yeah.
I think I deserve that type of money. So I just feel like with them opening that up, it's going to be more players that's going to be demanding those. But as
Mm-hmm.
the market goes right now in the NBA, is going to keep going up and up each and every year, just like you see it right now.
Right, absolutely. And from my standpoint, I'm all for players getting their money. I'm one of those people that advocate for players getting their money because they're putting their bodies on the line each and every night in front of fans and millions of people, playing the sport that they love. When we look at it, right, I look at some of these players on this list, and I'm going to go down this list right now. So, top of the list, Draymond Green, he's getting 4 years, $100 million for the Warriors. Well deserved because he is probably the glue for that Warriors team. When you see Clay and Steph, those guys, and what they've done for the course of these 8 years, getting to those championships and winning 4 of those championships. So Draymond, I knew the Warriors were going to get Draymond that big contract. We look at Fred Van Fleet, $130 million for 3 years, and he gets traded, or he signs with the Houston Rockets after spending his most of his career with Toronto. Then we look at Desmond Bain, who we just talked about, $207 million, 5 years with the Grizzlies. Kyrie Irving, 126 million for 3 years with the Mavericks. Now that one I find a little confusing because the success of the Mavericks wasn't as what we thought it was going to be with
Right.
him and Luka Doncic in the backcourt, and both of them are ball dominant players. So I was a little confused that they wanted to re-sign him after there was so much going on with them on the court and them not meshing as well.
Right.
Maybe they have something. Maybe they know something we don't. But I don't know if Kyrie. I don't know if Kyrie being in the Mavericks is the best option for him. I think he would be better suited to on a team where he can solely be point guard and not have to share with somebody like Luka Doncic. Then we look at Kyle Kuzma, $102 million, 4 years with the Wizards. I don't know about that one. I don't know if I would have paid him $102 million. I would give him a good contract, but not $102 million because Kyle Kuzma is one of those guys. I mean, even when he was with the Lakers, he was probably that fourth option, fourth or fifth option, maybe sixth option. He wasn't that 1, 2, or 3 guy. So I don't know if you would want to put all your money wrapped around him. Of course, they add Jordan Poole to the mix, so they can have a nice little run with the Wizards because I think the Wizards are rebuilding. But right now, if the Wizards are rebuilding, I would just see who they can get and build a team around. But Zay, I want to go to you. Like all these different guys that I just named that are getting these big contracts, do you think that the teams they're on, like I mentioned, they see a future with them winning championships? Because when you give somebody that much money, I expect to win. I expect to get there, and this person is going to lead my team to the promised land.
So I'm gonna start with the Kyrie situation, and that the reason why I think that one makes sense. Kyrie's played with Kevin Durant. He's played with LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
Other guys that, and more so LeBron James, that's ball dominant. I
Yeah.
think that can coexist because when the ball isn't in his hands, I think knows how to play off the ball. LeBron has showed that he can play off the ball and win a championship. Now, the way Mark Cuban is, I think the way he organizes his team, I think he wants to get the best option. And having those two guys with their high basketball intellect, they'll figure it out. Put some guys around them that can make shots and finish when they do give the ball up, play some defense around them. I think they'll be
Mm-hmm.
fine. I think the rest of the NBA is to a point where I don't see Dallas winning, but I think Mark Cuban is saying, maybe I'll take the best option and get the best point guard that I could out of free agency.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the Kyle Kuzma signing, I know you say you don't think that he's worth the 102, but with them losing Bradley Beal, what else they gonna do?
Yeah.
Like he either walks and they're stuck with a lesser player and have to sign them to something that they don't deserve, or they have to give him something. And I think 4 years, 100 million is fair. He was productive last season for for what it could be. Washington was terrible, but he got his. And so, and with the path that he's been on, he's kind of gotten better every season. So you kind of paying to his potential that, okay, we're gonna bank on him getting better. Now that Bradley Beal is gone, he can step up and get some more buckets, be more productive. He's a bit older, so we should see him take more of a role. We're gonna pay you to do this work, so now you have to show why you deserve the money that you got, because you earned this contract, earn your next one.
Do you see, being that Bradley Beal's gone? I have actually two questions. Do you see a scenario where Jordan Poole could be starting? Because I know he played coming up the bench role with the Warriors. Do you see him starting with the Wizards?
Oh, for sure. He's out of that rookie contract.
Mm-hmm.
He's a champion. He's shown that he can be the lead guard. He's played without Steph for long stretches of games. He's played without Clay for long. He
Yeah.
played a whole season without Clay. So he can go get his. I think he can be productive. I think it's just the learning curve on how to manage these games, and because he's a firecracker. He's gonna play
Yeah.
wild. So it's gonna be the big moments in games where he has to learn how to lead guard and not make those crazy plays and mistakes that you'll see him make.
Yeah.
But
And I
definitely
think
start.
Yeah, and I think even what you just mentioned, even last season, he took a bit of a dip last season. Even though when they won, when the Warriors won the championship last year, he took a huge leap, and his role was magnified in what he was able to do coming off the bench and just, like you said, having those moments where Clay is injured or Curry is injured or they're out at the moment, and he was able to step up. But last season, I think that punch with him and Draymond changed the whole landscape of the relationship with him and Golden State anyway. And I think he took a major dip last year, even though the Warriors gave him a lot of money. But I think for the Wizards, I'm happy for the Wizards because years I felt like, man, Bradley Beal's just been sitting there. Nothing's been going. I know they got rid of John Wall. John Wall got out of there at the time when they got him out of there. But Bradley Beal was like, okay, he's there. He's having these tremendous games, tremendous moments, and it's not doing anything for the team. There's no one around him. And now I think that he's able to get a new scenery with the Suns, and then you bring somebody like Jordan Poole over who has the championship pedigree, who's been in the same locker room with Steph Curry, Clay, and Draymond. He has a certain intellect that I think he can bring there, and I think they're starting from scratch. I think if you can build a nice little run this season, I don't expect them to be like, one of the best, but I'm just saying I think that right now is a good time that they clean house and make sure that they just see what they can work with and see what they can go get. Maybe get another star player in the future. Who knows? But Zay, before we go into break, and Jeremiah, I'm going to get to you in the next segment. When we look at the Suns, that's been the biggest talk right now is Bradley Beal going over the Suns with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Do you see them being the favorites, and can they win with this roster?
I have to see what the rest of that bench fills out to look like before I can say I think they'll be the favorites. I think their odds have tremendously increased with those signings. I think any team that has Kevin Durant on it, I think would be a good contender. And then you got Devin Booker and now Bradley Beal. That's tough to deal with, and you still keep DeAndre Ayton and I think Cameron Payne's still there, right? That was the backup. He was still there, but
Yeah,
I've got to see what the rest of that bench looks like to really just say they're the favorite, because the West not sweet, and I could really
it's
see
not.
teams like when the playoffs come, it can get ugly if those guys got to play 48 minutes because we
Yeah,
don't really got five people that are like that. Now we don't have too much money, so who we gonna sign? So it
right.
just depends on what they get for what the rest they have with that salary cap.
I
But
agree.
I wouldn't say that they'll be the favorites because I don't see them making those kind of signings. So I'm saying no.
Yeah, and when I look at the Suns too, it's not the question of the scoring, because we know Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant can score. That's not the question. The question is the depth of the team, because even last season we saw in the playoffs when they played against Denver, they were gassed. They're playing over 40 minutes. They had to score 80 points to win the I think game 3 in order for them to win game 3. So I mean, when you're in a stacked West, how it is right now, you have to have a bench that, okay, Durant can go rest and Booker can, maybe take over some minutes. He can go rest. Beal can go rest. They need to have a bench to come off, because you still have to deal with Jokic. You still have to deal with the Warriors. The Lakers, they made some very good moves in this offseason. The Timberwolves. I think Dallas is going to be they're going to be a problem as well. But it's like, where's the bench? And then the question is the defense. Can they garner some defense and cause problems for the opposing teams? So that's been the biggest question for me with the Suns. But it's not the question of scoring, because I think they can score. I think they can go get you. I think we're going to see an instance where you might have Durant and Booker both having 40 points, and then Bradley Beal got 30. I mean, we've seen that before. But it's just the other teams can score as well on you. That's just, when are you going to stop someone? When are you going to? And I don't know if they have really thought this out before, because now when you look at the Suns' whole organization now, they have over 100 million wrapped in all 4 of these players: Booker, Durant, and Beal. So this is like them saying, okay, this is the team we want. We got to win this now. So I think they should have a winning mentality now. And I think they are getting somebody like Bradley Beal. But it's just the question, can they play defense and the depth of the team to compete with the other teams in the West? But that wraps up the first segment. When we come back, we're going to talk about the first overall pick, Victor Wembanyama, and what his future looks like in the NBA. So we'll be right back for more.
Renting is everything. It's style at your doorstep, off the runway and into your closet. It's every trend you've been dying to try, and every designer you've yet to discover. It's wearing it your way every time and making it count everywhere you go. It's never worrying about what to wear, because something new is always coming your way. That's why renting is everything. New styles, top designers, all for a flat monthly fee. Start your subscription at renttherunway.com.
Slow roasted over hickory fire and pulled by hand. This is the way pit pork has always been done. Pulled pork lovers, rejoice. The smoky old days are back at the Smoke Shack. From the creative team that brought you the Browning Project and Dead by Morning comes a new thriller that will change the way you look at white-collar crime forever. Falling from the Sky.
You're watching Jasmine Pollock's First Impressions Sports Talk. Be sure to join Jasmine every week for great conversation on the NBA, NFL, and a wide variety of sports topics. To see past episodes of First Impressions Sports Talk, go to YouTube and search First Impressions Sports Talk. You can connect with Jasmine on LinkedIn by searching Jasmine Pollock. And now, back to more First Impressions Sports Talk.
Welcome back to Jasmine's First Impressions Sports Talk. If you'd like to get in touch with me, please check out my website at jasmineonsports.com. Also, if you would like to see my tweets, I talk about a lot of things regarding some of the hottest topics in sports. You can go to my Twitter at JazzyEsque. And also check out my YouTube, which is First Impressions Sports Talk. You can catch all my episodes there, all my conversations with many great guests as I have today. So let's bring everyone back. Let's get into Victor Wembanyama, who is the first overall pick in this year's NBA draft out of France. We all knew this kid was going to be a problem. 7'5" monster, 8 foot long wingspan, 200 and over 200 pounds. I mean, when we look at this kid, he is a physical specimen. Can score. He averaged 27 points when he was playing with France, and also he can his field goal percentage, the way he can see the rim. Obviously, he's 7'5". He can see the rim better than anybody. So, Jeremiah, for you, what does this look like for Victor Wembanyama in the league? Being that I think he's gonna be a star. He's gonna be the star for the Spurs. Can he live up to the expectations everyone has him in?
I think he can live up to the expectations. It's just all about him just staying healthy at the end of the day. You already know when it comes to the big guys, they get very injury prone when it comes to everything. Just like Bobo, like he's right now a free agent right now. He just got waived, but he has like extreme height. But the injury stuff, and plus not being durable and everything else, that stuff goes a long way. But I think when it comes to Victor, he can go the distance because I have a prediction that he is going to make the All-Star team this next season as long as he just stays healthy, because his potential is there. Watch him in this summer league. I've seen what he done, like especially like tipping off the ball and everything else. Of course, I know nervousness was going to be there. He had no chemistry with that team, just putting into the spot and just kind of making his own shot. No type of really coaching around there like a Popovich and other ones. Of course, you got Tony Parker's brother and everything else, but at the same time, he doesn't have a rapport with all those players and everything else, and then just kind of like pick up ball at the end of the day, but just forming as a team, going all the way. And I feel like he did good for his first time. He had good glimpses, but also bad glimpses that he had to just improve for himself, because he's not perfect. You got to understand, when it comes to any first round pick, when it comes to any first draft pick, like they're not going to be perfect. There's always learning room when it comes to them. And I feel like for Victor going forward, he's going to have some strength and he's going to have some weaknesses. And as for the Spurs organization has to get with him, go by the fundamentals. And I feel like he has great mentors and everything that's going to be around him. Just recently, he dropped 27. Of course, it was against the Blazers, but everything else. But you see those glimpses of what he can do. It's just all about it being consistent and going forward, especially when you're about to go into the real NBA with stronger dudes, got to bulk up, and I think he can do it.
Yeah, I agree with you on the bulking up part. I think he's going to be amazing, but the bulking up part, because he's in the West, you're going to be playing against guys like Draymond, who's going to try to body him up. You're going to play against Jokic, and even AD on his worst days, he's still going to do a lot of different things. And of course, you have Karl Anthony Towns, just a boatload of bigs in the West that he's going to have to go up against. But Zay, to you, can he be being that he's the first overall pick, can he live up to the expectations and possibly be one of the biggest stars in the league?
I think so. I think he actually went to the perfect organization for him to him. We've seen Pop work with Tim Duncan and David Robinson and what he's done with those bigs, and just having those kind of players coming back, still hanging around the organization, reaching out to these players, talking to them. I think he has great mentors around him. I feel like he already has a pretty good knowledge of the game, but I really do agree with it coming down to his health. If he can stay healthy, I really think that he can and will be a problem. I think the way to come later. Right now, for just the way the NBA is, he don't have to bang the entire time. He's gonna be moving around. They're gonna be using his skill set, put him on the perimeter, handle the ball some. He can do all of that. I think it's dangerous when you got a guy that tall that can handle the ball, because you have to have a body in front of him with that size. But I don't know if too many people in the league with that size will be able to keep up with the ball handling. So I think Pop is a genius as a coach. So it'll be interesting to see how he uses this skill set. He hasn't had a player like this versatile before. So it'll be interesting to see what Pop puts together, especially with the pieces that's going to be around him. We saw what kind of season they had last season. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the impact that he has with this group that he'll be returning with, and just see what Pop does.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree when you said that I think it's the best organization he could be a part of, because the historic greatness of this organization and the historic greatness of Popovich, he just signed an extension also. I think it was yesterday, Jeremiah. I think he signed extension with the Spurs for I think 3 to 4 more years. So
Yep.
he is really invested. I think it's reviving the franchise. I know it's down years when Kawhi left, and then when Tony Parker, Ginobili, Tim Duncan, those guys retired. There was a dip for these past couple years. Then DeJounte Murray, he came up, but they traded him to the Hawks. But now you add Victor Wembanyama, physical specimen, someone that is going to bring a lot of hype to the league, and with his height, with his skill set, he's going to be a problem. I believe in that, and I think with no baseball I know he's nervous. There's a lot of stuff going on. I know the whole Britney Spears situation. I still don't know what's going on with this situation about his bodyguards attacking her or something like that. I'm not sure, but I just feel like with him, if he can stay healthy, that it's all the number one thing is just staying healthy. And I think the skill set with Popovich, he's going to know how to put him in the best situation to win, to be a good player, and not just a good player, but be a universally good player for the whole organization, for the team. And I think you're going to start seeing the Spurs start to, be revived again, getting more players. I think in free agency, I think they're not even done. And also when free agency comes also in the middle of the season, I think that they're also going to try to get more pieces around him. And I think it's just the building blocks to get the Spurs back to what they used to be. But Jeremiah, when we look at Victor Wembanyama, him being the number 1 overall pick and what we saw, what he was able to do over there in France, we're starting to see this whole new era of foreign players coming to the NBA dominating. We see Jokic, we see Luka, we see Embiid, we see Giannis, all these guys from other countries coming in and dominating. Could he be added to that list of bigs? Could he potentially be one of the best bigs ever in the league?
I mean, it is, you can't put it any other way than that, because of course you have guys, of course, that came from other parts. Of course, people like a Tony Parker and also Manu Ginobili and other ones that came from that organization that was from different places.
Yeah.
But for the bigs right now, you see so many of them. Of course, you already just say Jokic. Of course, you have Luka. Of course, you have Victor. I mean, each and every time it's like they're cooking them inside the oven, and then they're getting the next one ready and next one ready each and every year. That you have a specimen of just how many guys that's coming from these different parts. I mean, Serbia, different parts that that has so many different connections. Like a guy like Gordon Dragic, he was just saying he knew Luka since he was like a baby and stuff, like hold him. And those things that just goes the distance, and you can just see how the NBA itself has a huge connection just outside of the US.
With foreign players,
right. And it's really taking over right now, and you see so many not even going to college, but they're just looking at other places because all these guys, they're playing with grown men. And also the schooling and stuff. I mean, they're getting them prepared for this type of NBA basketball so early, rather than what the US is doing by just, having them when they're in high school, and plus getting them when they're getting into college and have to do maybe 1 or 2 years, which isn't bad. But how they do it overseas, you can just see the development of difference. And plus, they try to develop their players in a way different, because you just see a person like Luka. They may move slow, just like when it comes to Jokic, but they find a way to get their shots in, and their
IQ is really high. They know the spots their players are going to be in. They know what spots they're comfortable with, and they just got it down pat.
Yeah, and I think that's just such a gift that's going on right now, and you just seeing more and more teams are just looking at that inside this draft. That's right here.
Yeah, and next year there's a young man predicted to come out of college, is Bronny James. So let's talk before we got here. Let's talk a little bit about him. So he's predicted to go 24 to Atlanta for next draft. Now we don't know. This is not definite, but this is just the predictions. So imagine LeBron James plays this season with the Lakers. This question's for you, Zay. And Bronny goes to Atlanta, like they're predicting. Could you see LeBron going over there? Because I know he wants to play with his son, and I know we heard him saying, I don't know if I'm retiring, just a lot of indecisiveness. So when we look at Bronny James, we got Victor being number 1. Can Bronny possibly be more, obviously who his dad is, but where do you see Bronny at, like far as stardom and what he could be in the league?
So, seeing that he's projected to go 24th to Atlanta, this is the only conflict I have with his draft prediction. LeBron James has openly said he wants to play with his son. So I think that could possibly bump up his place in the draft for the simple fact that that's also, you not only get Bronny James, if you can get his dad too, I'm pretty sure LeBron's going to be a part of this process of like who you're going to pick. If we pick your son, will you actually come play for our team? He would say no, and then if they actually don't want Bronny, then they'll pass up on the pick if they really believe that. But if they get a yes out of LeBron, like early in the draft, like would you actually come for drafting? Because this would be why we're drafting. We want him to play. We have a great position for him. But if you're going to sign in free agency just because we drafted him, he might take him earlier. So he might can go top 10. That's the LeBron James sweepstakes. I understand it's an older LeBron. But I don't know. I think if that's what LeBron really wants to do, as involved as he is with, they call him Le GM, I think he'll really position himself with his son's draft pick. I think that could be a potential thing, and it might bump up where he is in the draft, especially with after we see how he plays his first year at USC.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to see what Bronny does because, of course he has to live up to this expectation because of who his dad is and what his dad was able to accomplish. And now people are going to be all in on him. What does he play like LeBron? And now he's at a big stage at USC. That's going to be a huge stage for him. And you're going to be playing in a lot of different basketball games in front of a lot of different people. A lot of scouts probably going to be at every game watching him and different things like that. But I think for Bronny, if I had advice for him, I know his dad's preparing him for this moment, definitely make your own move. And I think the biggest thing, he has the name, he's getting his dad's number 6, and different things like that. And I just want to see him, okay, let's see what he's about. I want to see, okay, we know who LeBron is, LeBron James Sr., but who is Bronny? What is he going to represent in the league? And I think he's phenomenal just from what I've seen and how, his development. I think as he's getting older, and now he's about to go into the collegiate level, I think he has a grand opportunity of doing something great. But if I'm him, I know they're probably going to give him 1 year, but I would stay 2 years just to, just get a feel of things and then jump into the league and give yourself a better chance. But, LeBron and them probably going to push that more and just say, hey, let's go now. And I think Bronny's going to be good, but I'm watching Bryce, the second son, because he's taller, he's more physical to me, and just what I'm seeing, I think Bryce is going to be that dark horse that no one's watching. Everyone's watching Bronny, but I think Bryce is going to be that one player that they're going to be like, dang, LeBron had this in the backyard, things like that. So I think right now for Bronny, I think this is a grand opportunity for him, but for me, because I'm a huge LeBron James fan, I just want to see him be his own man. And not so much like, okay, yeah, that's my dad, but I'm Bronny. Like I'm a different kind of person, player. I do my own thing. Dad is gonna be dad, but I'm Bronny. So that's the biggest thing I want to see. But I wish him the best. I'm rooting for him because obviously I'm a LeBron fan, so I guess I'm gonna root for all of them. But I just think that he just needs to have his own identity, and just see what he's about. Let's see what you can do far separated from your dad. But thank you, Zay, for being on the show for sure. I would love you back on the show again. It was good having your expertise on different things and just your interpretation of things. Jeremiah, thank you. I don't know where he went, but thank you, Jeremiah, for being on the show. Thank you, Remy, for constantly producing the show and giving a lot of great things. Zay, check out Zay's podcast, which is Make Chicago Flag Football Great Again. Someone who knows flag football, who knows basketball, check out his show. Thank you all. I will see you next time here on First Impression Sports Talk. Have a good evening.